No, you're fine.
The DCSD meeting will come to order, and I'm going to call roll tonight because Secretary Chartier is not here. So I'm here, Director Cox.
Here.
Director Lorenz.
Here.
And Director Salami.
Here.
Public comments. Public may comment on any subject or agenda item. Once I open the comment period, comments are limited to 3 minutes per person, and we request that you identify yourself with your first and last name and the street on which you live. Comments by the audience are not intended to result in a dialogue with the board. Please note that under Brown Act regulations, no member of the board may engage in any discussion other than brief comment or request for clarification of the item raised by a member of the audience. Once public comments are closed, no more will be accepted during the meeting. So on that note, we are open to public comments. Nicola.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Nicola Place. I live on Mount Diablo Scenic Boulevard. I live on the narrow upper portion of Scenic, the area we call the danger zone. I've spoken at many DCSD meetings since 1998. I almost always talk about the same topic, safety. Tonight is no exception. You've heard me say many times that Mount Diablo Scenic holds the unwanted and sad title of being the only road in Diablo that has had a fatality. In 2019, a cyclist and a motor vehicle collided on a narrow stretch of Scenic with tragic consequences for the cyclist. What you did not know is that Scenic has actually had 2 fatalities. And the previous fatality was sometime in the 1980s when a motorcyclist, of which I am one, riding down from the park, encountered a vehicle at the top of the crest near Shuli Chang and Hal Siebert's homes and was struck and killed. We've heard about this for years, and based on those reports, we contacted the CHP to verify this, but they have, quote, purged their records from that time period. But I recently had lunch with Shuli Chang, and she again verified this report. She also provided the following short testimony about what happened, and I quote, "I can't remember what year it happened when the motorcyclist collided with a car on Scenic, but it happened in the daytime when both my husband and I were at work sometime in the mid-1980s. The day after the accident, the young man's girlfriend came to the site of the accident. It's right at the edge of Hal and Mai's driveway on the road. The victim was going uphill toward Diablo Road. His girlfriend came in the early morning crying and grieving her loss. We hugged and I offered kindness and support. She never called me back. I believe that the area near my driveway has always been a dangerous spot. I was always very careful watching the vehicles that come both from up and down. There was an accident on the big turn below Peter's house. A high school boy drove too fast. His car plunged into my property, damaged my balustrade. His father came to apologize. My insurance helped take care of the damage. That was around 1988." End quote. Recently, according to Deputy Stoffel's report in the October DCSD meetings, there was a rollover accident on Scenic. A vehicle rolled over on Scenic. Safety continues to be a real, not a hypothetical problem on Upper Scenic. So what is a simple, fast, inexpensive way to make Scenic safer? Based on observed and documented video experience, double yellow striping works. Why? Most of the drivers on Scenic are headed to the park and are new to the area. When new drivers come down that road, and especially a narrow twisting road like Scenic, we have seen firsthand that they stay in the lane because they're frightened. And when they stay in the lane, because it's so narrow and so twisty, they slow down. These are beautiful outcomes. Unfortunately, last winter's storm debris scrubbed most of the striping off. It needs repainting. So I ask once again for the board to please apply some of our annual fees that we pay every year for road maintenance, and so far haven't gotten, to making Scenic safer. Restripe the double yellow line through the danger zone as soon as possible. Thank you, Nicola Place, and the 25 owners and residents of Upper Scenic.
Thank you. Anyone else? Jeff?
For the record.
Thank you. Jeff Iorio, Alameda Diablo, resident for closing in on 44 years. At the October meeting, after I spoke my allotted 3 minutes, this board allowed a member of the public who supposedly didn't use her entire 3 minutes another opportunity to speak in public comment. Never in my 36 years working in local government have I witnessed such an action by a public body. Each person is given the opportunity to speak under public comment up to 3 minutes, and a second rebuttal should not be allowed. And as for what Ms. Chella stated in her second opportunity to speak, it was an outright lie. This is about what transpired in the board elections last November, and I have never advocated for a fourth vehicular access to Diablo, and neither did Bart Hobden. But Ms. Chella and the people running against Bart and I stated that this was my position, and again, an outright lie. I supported access for people to ride and walk on the contested easement, and that's all I've ever advocated for. I would also like to address the matter of redoing the entrance signs to Diablo. Based on recommendations of our new legal counsel, our new signs will state something to the effect of permission to pass would be permitted by owners and not by the DCSD. I would like to hear from our legal counsel what owners will be permitting people to enter Diablo. Based on our district formation document, while our roads are privately held, they are subject to a public right-of-way and are maintained with public tax dollars. Therefore, no one has the ability to restrict anyone from using our roads. I would appreciate an explanation. I was hoping to see soon on our agenda a records retention and digitization policy brought before the board and action to move forward on the 3-foot setback proposal as you have the necessary votes to do so. With regards to the public easement on Upper Alameda Diablo, a counter lawsuit was filed today against U.S. Bank and the owners of who are the owners of the Barami property, and to Mr. Wooten to declare the public easement, to declare it as a public easement, and to remove the fence that the interveners paid for. This lawsuit has been supported by 29 property owners who filed declarations in support of the new lawsuit and who have utilized the easement for decades, even prior to 1979 when the easement was recorded with the county. This goes to my contention that we here in Diablo have been constrained by a tyranny of the minority, whereas there are only 17 interveners who paid for the fence and 29 residents who strongly oppose the tyrannical minority and their actions.
Jeff, you go 3 minutes.
Okay, so in closing, I would like to see the records retention policy and the 3-foot setback as soon as possible, and I'm disgusted, angry, and sad for our community through the actions of a small group of mean-spirited people. Thank you.
That's terrible.
That's the truth.
Wow, that's my interpretation. You should know better than that, Jeff.
That demands a rebuttal.
You can address the board.
Oh, I'll address the board. Yeah, I'd love to. My name's Tony Geisler, 115 Almedo Court in Diablo. I have to give the outside cyclist credit for waging a very major campaign, putting Diablo in a bad light. They have used all print media and all broadcast media. And I have to give them credit for that. The only problem is that their acquaintance with what is accurate in the facts is remote, to say the best. Number one, there is no easement. George Furtado, who developed the property, in order to do it, was required by the county to offer an easement for equestrians and pedestrians because Diablo had many equestrians at the time. Horseback riding was very popular. It was offered to the park did not accept it. Therefore, there is no easement. It was required. It was satisfied later when Milton and Patty Perlow were asked by the equestrians who went to the county to offer an easement for equestrians and pedestrians at the north end of that property. And it was offered to the Diablo Community Services District, and the easement is there and is affectionately known as K Street. There is where the easement is. There is no easement in the country. Never was. Also, they refer to the interveners. The reason that there are interveners is that there was a lawsuit filed by Winston Cervantes against the Barami property and also against the Services District. The Services District is let off on that one. But since Mr. Barami permitted and worked with the cyclists on the cut-through, There was nobody there to oppose it or to represent the community. Thus, we intervened. We didn't follow the lawsuit. Also, the numbers are inaccurate in the media. It says 18. There are more than 18 interveners. And it also leaves the impression that it's only the interveners who are opposing it. There was a slate that ran on opposing a fourth entrance into Diablo. And the suit required, it's a 25-foot easement, and it also wanted to have a motorized vehicle. In this case, Cervantes was a golf cart. But a car could go through it. Anything could go through it. So it is a fourth, and it was motorized because Cervantes is motorized. That's why we opposed it. And I just want to say, because the slate was elected by a very large majority, Diablo is behind no fourth entrance.
Back.
Yes.
There's a phrase in law, res ipsa loquitur. It means the thing speaks for itself. Last fall, there was an election. There was information put out that was honest and true, that was factual, that cited facts. The thing speaks for itself. There was an election. And elections have consequences. As Tony pointed out, a very large majority voted for the safe and secure slate. That is what they wanted. There's a lot of election denialism that's been going on in the whole country for a number of years. So let's not have that happen in Diablo. It's been going on a little too long. It's a year later, and we're still revisiting the 2022 election. So let's move on. Look forward to 2024 to anyone who wants to run. In the meantime, I shared a number of comments with Greg earlier today about the encroachment ordinance and some tweaking that needs to be done. I commend the board on making it clear that the board has enforcement authority for its ordinances. There's no need for county ordinance. Board can enforce it as necessary. So when we get to the ordinance, maybe Greg will share some of the things we talked about today. And I would also like to comment on the proposed signalization plans, to the extent we know anything, for Mount Diablo Scenic, but I'd like to wait till we get there to that particular agenda item, because it's just hard to discuss things in a relevant fashion when you have to do it half an hour ahead of time. So I hope that you'll give us opportunity when we get to that agenda item to talk about it. Thank you very much.
Alan?
My name's Alan Bonnie. We live in El Centro here in Diablo, and I'm reading this on behalf of Ray Brandt, who could not be here this evening. He asked that this letter be entered into the meeting record. He said 2 weekends ago someone opened the DCSD DMAC post office bulletin case without permission. He said he assumed to post 2 non-DCSD DMAC information documents. He says this action is vandalism and or trespassing. Even though the bulletin case is not secure, this posting is not acceptable. I'm requesting DCSD work with the postmaster to find out who did this. Secondly, the case must be secured. And on the agenda items, Ray asked, please don't pass this at the meeting for the following reasons. It seemed clear to him at the special meetings regarding the encroachment ordinance issue that the setback should include hedges as they block areas to escape traffic. Existing violations must be grandfathered because the old ordinance was not enforced. The majority of the residences are out of compliance. And he agreed with your comment about the intersection of Mount Diablo Scenic and Diablo Road is very dangerous. It's not acceptable at an intersection adjacent to a school not to have crosswalks, and it must also have provisions for cyclists. He says, thank you for your community service.
Okay, any other comments?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm Don Dudley. I live on Alameda, and I'm a little confused because I've lived here for 28 years, and pretty much every week I've walked through that easement that doesn't exist. So, and we talked about election denialism and saying elections have consequences, but I'm also confused that the DCSD had nothing to do with putting that fence up that blocked the pathway to Mount Diablo Scenic. So I think that the interveners took things into their own hands and then are saying that somehow Diablo voted for a fence to go up that blocked our pathway, that we went on a loop. And I'm completely annoyed by the fact that because of a few people that wanted to restrict cyclists coming through the neighborhood, that they've aggressively, over a decade-plus long time, have taken this and embarrassed the community by an agenda that is entitled and selfish.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I think we need management. I was gonna say something, but I don't wanna get upset.
Okay.
I'm upset with some of these
Jeff?
comments. Ridiculous.
Jeff Minnie, 2339 Bio Ranchero. I'm not embarrassed at all for having the safety issue of keeping Diablo safe from any accidents, with the streets being 100 years old, over 100 years old, and narrow as they are, no sidewalks, no lines on most of the center lines. Some of those streets are 14 feet wide. To have excess amount of people coming through, we have enough problem already with the amount of construction that's going on, coming in and out of Diablo, let alone having cyclists and people coming through here that impacts, like the San Ramon Valley School District, that thinks that they can just cut through anybody's property. So everybody who's for cutting through your property, your private property, open it up for them. Not in my backyard is what you're all saying. But what I'm saying is it's a safety issue. If that was open, the cut through, people are going out onto a, as Nicola Place said, onto a street that's so dangerous, there's not even a sign that says, watch out for pedestrians, or is there anything on the other side saying, watch out for the people coming back through to Alameda Diablo. So this is just a common sense thing. First of all, there was no easement prescribed, and it's a safety issue. Thank you.
Sure is. Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Yes.
I might as well say something. I've been here 51 years. 51 years I've lived here. I've enjoyed it. Bob Beretta, been here. I'm disappointed these people are mad and angry. You need anger management or some damn thing. I don't know what it is. As a teacher, that's what I used to do with my kids. I'm disappointed because what you really should be belly aching to is the city of Danville.
Right.
They're the ones who need to open that damn path up there, and they do. They have $4 million for Davidon, the developer. They just haven't done anything. But why come to our community? We're sitting on all kinds of money here in this development. This is a development with the golf course, and we had our roads put in by the golf course, by the developer. I get angry. I just have so many things I want to say, but that just angers me that a few people who live in Diablo think this way. And the nasty things that you say about us as individuals. We care about people. I care. I was a teacher for 35 years. And I just, that's being disrespectful to the element that lives in this area. You should be proud that you live here and believe it. It should be in your heart. Thank you.
I'd like to respond to Bob, Mr. Barata. I'm Juliana Judley, 1849 Alameda. I am proud to live here. I'm deeply disappointed in the interveners and negatively impacting my enjoyment of life. I have enjoyed taking walks in this community for 28 years, and you have impacted my way of life by putting up a fence. And I resent it. I find it abhorrent that you would do that to us in the community who like to walk our dogs, walk our strollers, and enjoy a pathway that's been there for 100 years. So that's what we're upset about. It has nothing to do with equestrians or bicycles or anything else. It's our way of life that we can take a walk in our own community and not be fenced in for some ridiculous reason that you think a car is gonna drive through there. It is just a ridiculous presumption that you've been operating on for 10 years. So I find it very disappointing.
I'm sorry, I just not talking. I don't understand why people are ignoring the fact that this is a private property. And the person owning the private property has the right to do whatever he pleases. That's what we were given by law. And if you follow laws, that's what you relate to. And everybody ignores the fact that there are people who have their own property, they spend money on it, they're supposed to give up $3 million or whatever they can get for it, and open it up to the world. The cyclists pay nothing. They just come and use it. That's not fair. People ignore that. I don't get it.
U.S. Bank didn't put the fence up. It's their private property.
Who tore the wall down?
Nope.
Dawn, do you know?
No.
Who tore, the wall was there for over 15 years. Who tore it
I know
down?
who tore it down.
Okay, but yeah,
I was just gonna say it's a professional street. Pardon me? Oh, pardon me. Ann Coleman. I live at 1784 in Diablo, pardon me, and I also 1675 Chalet G. I own that too. Okay, as a professional streetwalker here in Diablo, this is what I do. I walk the streets and I love it, and I pick up trash and I do whatever I can because I love this community. But I also respect people's private property. I don't go on property, I don't, I'm not invited on or whatever. I have the highest respect for my neighbors. Pardon me. And I just love this community, and I just want to say it's private property, folks. Happy to walk through. Come to Nedgedley, so I'll just go circle around your house a few times if you'd like me to. I just wouldn't dare. So, for heaven's sakes, that property is property. It's private. Respect it. Give it a shot. Thank you.
My name is Alice White. I live on Casa Westra. And I want to reiterate, when the sheriff was here last month, he said their opinion on it is it's private property. End of story. So I don't understand all the problems. Apparently, the law thinks it's private property.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. I have one more here. One more? Okay.
Yes, sorry. So, I'm going to start. I think it goes over 3 minutes. If you want a second. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the board and general manager, thank you for your service on behalf of the citizens of Diablo. I'm Jerry Davis. Francis and I have lived here in Casa Nuestra since 1975. There are 4 issues which seem to be drawing large crowds, contributing to high passions and dividing neighbors. The first, easily solved, involves accusations that the board has been insufficiently transparent. There being no evidence that the board is conspiring, solutions were offered at the last meeting. Email all notifications and ordinance changes to the community for timely discussion prior to implementation. 21st century communication should resolve the issue. I don't recall that the community voted on previous ordinance updates. Voting is fine as long as the vote excludes those ordinances mandated by the state, county, or federal government. The second issue involves cyclists using the private roads of Diablo. In my view, this issue spawned the remaining 2 issues, which are A, how private are the roads of Diablo, and B, Robert Tiernan's lawsuit against his neighbors, the Community Service District, and Diablo Country Club. I confess that large numbers of cyclists do not ride past my house. I've heard that these dreadful people ride in packs and block the road, Cali Arroyo, that they shout and curse, that they exceed the speed limit and present a danger to the citizens of Diablo. And worst of all, they talk when passing the 16th hole, when keen-eared and easily distracted golfers such as me might be putting. I've also heard, anecdotally, of a cyclist running into a car as the driver was backing out of his or her driveway. The Diablo resident was sued for $1 million. This is called a traffic accident. Do we think that only outside cyclists would bring a suit if injured? Am I to conclude that if one of our children from 6 to 18 or one of our tax-paying bike riding neighbors have been injured, that a lawsuit might not follow by the parents or the involved adult? Taxi cyclists are not all unemployed. By necessity, they must come through early morning and late afternoon. This is traffic enforcement. Our sheriff should be able to enforce the vehicle codes at those hours, single or double file. A few stops and the word would get out. 3 days ago, I found myself behind a pack returning home from the night hole. There were 4 or 5 abreast, and I was not able to match the speed, or they were not able to match the speed of my car. Trembling with fear, I overtook them. They immediately single filed. I passed them. They smiled and waved. Guess I was just lucky. Suggestions are afoot to replace speed bumps with gravel strips like runway truck ramps, making the road bicycle unfriendly. So our children and cycling neighbors would either take falls along with the outsiders, or maybe we fit locals with flags or other ideas so they can divert around the pits. Any volunteers for that committee? Privacy. The third issue, the formation document for the service district, is dated 1965. That document was signed by Robert Tiernan, the litigant's father. I quote with 2 exceptions. The roads within the proposed district are private in nature but subject to the right-of-way reserved to the public. By the way, the posted speed limit at the time was 25 miles per hour. It's over 3 minutes, so I'll stop. Okay.
All right, any other comments? Okay, public comments are now closed and there won't be any more for the rest of the meeting. And welcome to the other